Okay, today's lecture is going to be on African society and culture. Our essential question for today's notes is, what common cultural traits did many of Africa's people have in common? Since this is a first for us in this class, please make sure that you pause when you need to pause, rewind if you need to rewind, and make sure that you check completeness with myself or the guest teacher when you're done. Family was the most important part of African society. People often lived with their extended families and groups that could be several hundred members in size. They traced their roots through their mother, but whenever a woman would marry, she would be a part of her husband's family, but they would still trace their familial line through her. As was common for a very long time, her family would receive gifts from the husband's family. This was called a dowry. They would receive, items of value like cloth or metal tools, farm animals, in compensation for losing a family member. Children were very important to them. They were a connection between those who were still living and those who were dead, and they were a connection to the past and the future. And there were some cultures that believed that this could be a reincarnated family member born into a child. So they wanted to make sure children were protected and well taken care of, and they were also guaranteed that your family would live on. Education was the responsibility of the family and other villagers within that extended family. It wasn't just about learning facts, but it was about learning skills that they would need as an adult, whether that was a trade, whether that was working in a field, or whether that was, mining. In West Africa, specifically, griots helped with schooling through oral history. So the stories they told included lessons about living life, how to live life properly, how to gain those skills. And they also learned lessons through proverbs, which you should be familiar with that word. An example what was written here would be, a good deed will make a good neighbor. The role of women in medieval Africa was very traditional. They were acting as wives and mothers first. Men had more rights, and as Islam has done for many years, men controlled most of what women did. There were European visitors, however, who did notice exceptions, and the big one was that the women were able to serve in some empires as soldiers in battle. There were also African women who ruled. Dalia Akahina led fights against Muslim invaders to help preserve and protect her empire, and Queen Nzinga spent nearly 40 years battling the Portuguese who were trying to enslave her people and sell them to people in America. Not a lot of notes. Didn't want to overextend you today. What you should do to wrap this up is write level 1 questions for each chunk of notes that we did here, and that's based on the heading that's up at the top. And you should summarize today's notes by answering those questions.